Calorie counting is the cornerstone of a lot of people's diets, and in the fitness and weight loss world, it's often encouraged or portrayed as the answer to all your dietary needs. But as someone that spent last year maintaining a stable weight, all whilst making consistent progress with their running and lifting and not counting a single calorie to get me there, I have a big problem with this message, and think there's a better way to eat for a lot of people. So a calorie just describes how much energy is stored in the food we eat, or how much energy we're burning day to day just through existing. Calories are the fuel and we're the machines. But this one-track way of thinking has left some people missing the point of why it matters what we eat. And this is where my biggest problem with calorie counting lies. But first of all, why do people count calories? Well, it's usually for one of three reasons: to lose weight, to gain weight, or to maintain weight. And you do this by adding up the combined calories of the foods you eat in a single day. You then work out an estimate for how many calories you burn based on things like your age, weight, height, gender, and activity levels. Take one from the other, and this is what you're left with: either a positive, neutral, or negative balance for the day. I'm not here to give a subjective opinion on what is scientific fact. It is clearly impossible to gain weight if you're in a consistent calorie deficit. And when applied properly, this system works. But the key bit in that phrase is when applied properly. What if the calorie count's wrong on the back of the packet? What if the meal that you're making has 10 different ingredients in, all which now need weighing out and portioning? Or what if you forget to add the donut that you just had at your desk, even though you just had breakfast, because it was Deborah and HR's birthday? In reality, calorie counting is far harder to put into practice than it first seems. And it doesn't take much to go wrong in your calorie equation before your maths gets wonky and your body weight starts heading in the opposite direction to what you intended. Each of the individual examples that I gave aren't exactly huge obstacles that can't be overcome with enough effort. There are plenty of people who thrive when it comes to obsessing over the detail, and do it each day and it works for them. And there are plenty of fitness influencers who use this method to stay lean or cut for a particular show or photo shoot. But for the average person whose life doesn't exclusively revolve around their training or nutrition, or their intense desire to lose weight for an upcoming event or a health scare, enough of these obstacles in combination is often enough to render calorie counting impractical in the short term, or unsustainable in the long term. And the answer to all these people's problems isn't simply to berate them to try harder. As a doctor, I know from experience that behaviour change is often far harder to achieve than simply telling someone to do better. We're more than simple machines. We have unpredictable lives, complicated bodies, and food forms part of our culture. Granted, the UK doesn't necessarily have the most revered food culture internationally, but still the point stands. Food is more than the sum of the macros on the label, so it's not always as simple as calories in and calories out, even if the science works. And that's not even my biggest problem. I think this whole way of framing foods exclusively in terms of calories just kind of misses the point and narrows the discussion. What's prevented me from ever wanting to start counting calories is that I'd be worried about developing an unhealthy relationship with foods, where the focus is on what I can't eat rather than what I should be eating. For me, the food I eat should be serving three purposes. First of all, yes, it should help to fuel my running and lifting and help me to recover from a high volume of training. But it should also provide me with a broad range of micronutrients which help promote my health and longevity, being as suitable for me now as a 27-year-old hybrid athlete as it will be for me in 50 years' time as a 77-year-old hybrid athlete. Terrifying. And finally, it should be enjoyable. I want a healthy relationship with the foods I eat, where I enjoy my meals each day, but I also leave space to indulge occasionally. And in order to achieve these three goals, I've radically shifted my diet in the last 12 months. I eat predominantly plant-based whole foods, which are naturally high in good fats, fibre, and micronutrients. And by mainly eating this way, 3 times a day I can fill a large plate with these foods, eat it all, and feel full at the end of a meal, all whilst maintaining my current weight and gradually increasing my training volume. And eating this way is taking advantage of your body's natural mechanisms of controlling hunger, satiety, and a healthy weight. For instance, 100 calories of whole foods like nuts, which are naturally high in fibre and unsaturated fats, is not the same as 100 calories of an ultra-processed food. Your body will extract less of the calories from whole foods on average than highly processed foods, because they're harder to digest. But 30 minutes after a meal, you're more likely to feel more full having eaten the nuts versus the processed food. So you're less likely to overeat, and more likely to maintain a healthy weight, without all the extra effort of having to count every last calorie. When I look back on some of my older, slightly less wholesome ways of eating, when a high proportion of my daily calories were coming from ultra-processed foods, I remember always being hungry between meals, which led to constant snacking. I'm not going to pretend like I've ever seriously struggled with my weight, because that would be disingenuous. But when I look back on those times, I was certainly holding on to more fat than I needed and had a BMI above the normal range. If I'd started counting calories back then, it would have been like applying a sticking plaster to the underlying deeper problem. There's a reason why a lot of people who successfully lose weight after a period of intentional dieting or calorie restriction often put a significant proportion, if not all of it, back on in the long term. It's because they haven't been able to build healthy habits that are sustainable in the long term. That's what I'm focused on. So yes, I have a basic understanding of the energy content of my food. I realise that I need to be eating more on days when I'm running long distances, and less on days when I'm more inactive, in order to maintain my current weight. But I don't count the calories of my individual meals, or have a specific intake that I'm trying to reach each day. I've just tried to retune my body to eat nutritious foods when I'm hungry for them. Calories in and calories out works, okay? It's not some total bro science like a lot of fitness YouTube. When done properly, calorie counting is the only 100% surefire way to guarantee that you're in a calorie deficit and lose weight. My approach is by no means perfect or infallible, and I've only used it to maintain a healthy weight and lifestyle, rather than to achieve dramatic weight loss or cut to an unsustainably low body fat percentage. So if you're an elite athlete with access to a nutritionist, or someone significantly overweight and a curated diet plan from their healthcare team, obviously keep doing what you're doing. I'm not telling you to stop, alright? And everyone else in between, who enjoys obsessing over the details, or is a hard gainer looking to put on a bit of mass, and continues to have a positive and healthy relationship with food, despite counting calories. That's great. I'm not trying to tell you that you're wrong, because if it's working for you, then you're clearly not. I can literally only speak for myself. But I wanted to shed a light on an alternative perspective that's worked for me. One that focuses on building healthier habits and framing foods in a different way than purely the units of energy it contains. Most of us aren't elite athletes or bodybuilders. We're just trying to live a healthy life. And I think this approach might benefit a lot of other people out there, especially if dramatic weight loss isn't your only goal. Yes, it's a subtle difference, but an important one. And I hope that the online fitness community is maybe maturing from where it was 10 years ago. I think people appreciate that there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach to anything in life, let alone when it comes to diet and nutrition. So I hope this message will be received by you all with the same nuance and balance that I try to deliver it with. Although I'm always prepared to be proven wrong in the comment section. And if you want to find out more about what I eat to run and lift, well, this next video might be for you. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.